Tell me about your childhood.
I was born in the wagon of a travelling show. My mother used to dance for the money they'd throw. Papa would do whatever he could. Preach a little gospel, sell a couple of bottles
Very
of Dr. Good.
interesting. And how would you describe your occupation?
I've been an astronaut, an explorer, a nuclear engineer, an Egyptologist, a Roman emperor, a space conqueror, a general, a soldier.
Is that so? And one final question before your release. And I must remind you, this is a place of healing. You have nothing to be ashamed of here. What is the greatest computer of all time?
The Commodore 64 was much better than the Spectrum.
As I thought, the patient is completely insane. There is no choice. The only course of action is the Stonkers treatment. Take him away.
Oh, why did you escape from your comfortable cell in the Green Park Lunatic Asylum? Life was easy there, made-to-measure straitjackets and all the candles you could eat. But now you are in the big wide world with your warped view of life, and things are pretty tough. In this madcap adventure, written by the none too sane Edward Way from Ashford, you must attempt to get back to your cell. The programme shows a new style of programming technique for adventures. The programme largely consists of data, presenting the adventurer with a situation and giving him two options, chosen by pressing 1 or 2. And a final hint: remember that you are an escaped lunatic, and as the data rather gives the adventure away, I suggest you bribe a younger brother or sister, or find a friend to type the program in for you. This is a game for the 48K Spectrum from More Adventures for Your Spectrum, edited by Clive Gifford. Here we are. I've crashed on an island. Do I hobble along the beach or stay by my hang glider? Well, the Lord helps those who help themselves, so I think I'm going to hobble along the beach. A roaring tiger appears. Oh, that's not good. Run into the forest or jump into the water? I think I'm going to run into the forest. I see a dark cavern. Do I enter it or do I keep going inland? I think looking in the cavern makes sense. Caverns are fun. I see a bag of gold. Do I leave it or take it? Well, love of money is the root of all evil, so I shall leave the gold. A troll ambles past and takes the gold. My chance to be rich is gone. Do I cry for help or practice being a lawnmower? Lawnmower is the choice. I'm back at home in my own padded cell. The straitjacket fits snugly. Well done. I must be mad to finish this adventure. Let's make it better. So this game is only 5 pages in the book, spaced out with some pictures in the original text. You'd think a program so small would fit into the 16K Spectrum. I tried loading onto the 16K Spectrum and it just said no instantly out of memory as soon as it loaded the first bit of data. It's 48K, so I've got a bit more leeway to make it fancy. But I wanted to keep it close to the original because I actually rather liked the original. So what I'm doing here is essentially doing the font trick, changing the font, except it's a lunatic adventure. So the idea is going to be, for every scene, we're having a brand new font. So to get all these fonts, there's several utilities I've looked at. One I typed in, that I downloaded and got it slightly wrong. A load have been extracted by Mr. Oberhumer from various Spectrum games. and some others were from CharSet. But what I'm going to do here, though, is load all of them from tape individually via this load loop, and then save the lot as one great big lump of bytes called fonts ! I'm having that at code 40,000 for a length of 24 fonts times 768. And then in the code, we're going to use a subroutine to set the char's system variables to the appropriate value. So here I've loaded loads of fonts and Beachhead, Lunar, Jetman, Pyjamarama, and I'm going to save all of these to tape. And we'll then create a little loader routine to load these before we run Lunatic Adventure version 2. Because the game is very, very simple, it's a series of choices, A-B choices, or 1-2 choices if you prefer. There's not a lot you can change without changing the game radically. I've gone for changing the fonts because it's a text-based game and gives you the most bang for the buck. I've just considered maybe using machine code to have a separate picture for each scene. Unfortunately, I've just done the maths, and a whole screen is 6912 bytes. Times that by 25, and you get 172,800 bytes, which is a little bit in excess of what we have available, which is about 168k. Even on the 128k mode version, you can't do that. If you had a microdrive, you could, but then it would be really slow, and you wouldn't really gain much. We also could have added some music, but the game already has randomly changing border and random notes to suggest your character's mental state. So I've gone just with fonts, and the fonts are a great big lump of data, which increases your load time from about a minute to considerably longer. So overall, I was a bit disappointed with More Adventures for Your ZX Spectrum as a book. Swords of Praxis 7 was rather good. Magic Treasure Adventure was excellent, but takes up half the book. And then Lunatic Dreams is just a tiny little good game at the end. It's quite fun. It is quite fun, but it's tiny. Absolutely tiny. But it was 1984, to be fair. There's also at the end of the book the hints and tips to the games in the first book, which includes Everyday Adventure, Ring of Power, Computer Adventure, and so forth. But I'm certainly glad that I didn't spend over £100 on it. Someone tried to buy it for over £100 on eBay. He went a bit silly, and then everyone started withdrawing bids. I was like, yeah, this is a bit weird. I'm not playing this game. So adding fonts changes it from 1 minute to nearly 3. So crash on an island. We can still hobble along the beach or stay by our hand glider. It's a rather nice, attractive font. I think this might be from Tempest. I tried to use fonts that are appropriate for the scene. A spaceship lands. So this was a sci-fi font. Unfortunately, it only used upper capital letters, the lowercase letters, to stay as the normal Sinclair font. So spaceship lands, you need to enter it or jump into the water. So capital E and the numbers are all sci-fi, lowercase is bog standard. We're entering the spaceship. The aliens want to conquer Earth. So here we've got some letters in lowercase are different. Letter Q isn't, letter H isn't. So you can either help the aliens conquer Earth or fight them. We've chosen to fight the aliens, have been killed in the conflict, and we've changed the font here to, I think, from Beachhead. We are not crazy enough to win this adventure. If you want advice, try writing computer games. Adventure games, sorry. That will send you crazy. So let's have another go, see what else we can find. A crash on an island, font from Tempest. Hobble along the beach or stay by a hang glider. A roaring tiger appears. So do we run into the forest or jump into the water? I looked for fonts and Way of the Tiger. Unfortunately, they're either no fonts or not available. This is a Gothic font. A pirate ship, either go to shore or board the ship. The Treasure Island for Mr. Micro didn't have any nice font. So in this font, we have nothing at all. We're now become a pirate for years, and then the ship is wrecked. We're cast adrift in a bath. So wish to pray or paddle to shore. We've chosen to pray, and this font's gone slightly wrong. A genie appears and grants us a wish. Wish to go home or wish to be filthy rich. Good luck reading that. I think this is the font I typed in and got the bytes wrong. And here, the screen goes completely blank. This is because I've gone to scene 25 and I've only loaded 24 fonts. Fortunately, the way out of this is to poke 23606 with 0 and poke 23607 with 60. If you can do this, so here I've poked 23607 with 60, but not the first one, so the characters are all strange. That would actually work, to be fair, as a you've gone completely mad, you can't read anything kind of idea. But then it would make the game unplayable, because you have to say, here are some random letters, one or two. So what I'm going to do, rather than look for another font, I'm just going to set number 25 to the appropriate address, which, see here, Go Sub 1000 sets up the array. So what I'm trying to do is work out what the address should be. So 23607 should be set to 60. Unfortunately, 60 times 256 is one ahead of what it should be, so that might be correct. And that's not quite right, is it? That's not quite right at all. It's complete gibberish, which does work in a sort of lunatic way. That's not very useful. So we set it back to 0 and 60. There we are. So I think it should actually be higher. Maybe. So we set the address, then we take 256 off it. So it has to be one higher than we should be. Because over in the subroutine 2000, I set the 2 bytes appropriately and it works. So here, section 25, so you're back at home in our own padded cell. The straitjacket fits snugly. And well done, it must be mad. Now we've crashed on an island. A spaceship lands, we enter it or jump into the water. Jumping into the water leaves a pirate ship. We either go to shore or board the ship. Again, a pirate for years. Wish to pray or paddle to shore. Paddle to shore, we're in a bath. There's a rubber duck and a sponge with me. I can stay in the warm bath or get out and dry myself. I'm out, I'm nice and dry, but do I want to take my rubber duck with me? Shall I say, oh yes please, or no thank you. Yes please, I say. Unfortunately, carrying the sacred duck is punishable by death. And that is the end of today's lunatic adventure. I'm putting the quote improved version up on Jim Blimey's store. Thank you.